This is a recap of what we covered in Scratch Club Week 5. We've really covered all of the menu items except for 3, and those 3 are sending a broadcast and responding to a broadcast, cloning, and writing your own block. So those are the things we covered in Week 5. This is an example of what I showed for the broadcast example. So notice that the boy is not dancing, the girl is dancing, and then when the girl is done dancing, she stops and the boy starts. And the way they know when to start and stop dancing is they're communicating with each other using a broadcast. So if the girl sends a broadcast to the boy that says, "I'm done," the boy dances, he sends a broadcast back to the girl and says he's done. So if I stop that and look at the code, you'll see what I mean. So we have the first dancer, looks like her name is Cassie. Cassie dances by changing her costume, waiting a little bit, changing it again, repeating that 10 times. When she's done with her 10 times of dancing, she sends a broadcast. We called it Girl Done Dancing. And then the boy dancer responds to that event. He says, "When I receive Girl Done Dancing, then I play my own song and then I dance," switching my costume, waiting and repeating. And in the example I have here, the boy tells the girl he's done, but all you need to do is do one broadcast. So let's do that together. I'm going to do a brand new project. I'm going to get rid of the cat, and I'm going to click right here to choose a sprite from the library. I'm going to pick people, and as long as you pick someone who has either the word dance or hip hop in their name, you can be sure they have several different costumes. So if I picked Catherine Dance, I can pretty reliably know that she has several costumes, and I look and there she does. I'm going to hit this again and pick another dancer. Let's pick D Money Hip Hop. Hit OK. So let's move these over. For some reason the Scratch website has been slow to save, but it does eventually finish, and I can keep working while it goes. So I'll start on Catherine. The first thing I want her to do, I want her to dance as soon as the game starts. So I'm going to click over here to start when the green flag is clicked. She doesn't have a song, so I'm going to add one. Under Music Loops, I will pick this one and hit OK. I go to Scripts. I'm going to play the sound with my script now that I added it. So I'm playing the song, and then I'm going to repeat 10 times. What's her name? Catherine, changing costumes, and then waiting a little bit. So let's say a half a second. Then, as long as I'm here, let's add our broadcast. So I'm going to click right here from the Events menu. I'm going to choose a new message, and this is where you can call it whatever makes sense to you, something that when you read the code later it'll make sense. So I'm going to say Girl Done Dancing and hit OK. So then all sprites, including the backdrop, can hear this broadcast, and some of them will choose to respond and some will not. So let's go ahead to the boy, and I'm going to have him start dancing when he receives Girl Done Dancing. Of course, if you had multiple broadcasts, you could select it from the list here. We just have the one. So when that happens, does he have a song? He has the same song. Then he's going to play his song. He's going to dance 10 times by changing to the next costume. He has several costumes, right? Yeah, he does. And waiting a second, or half a second. If he waits 1 second, that's fine. He'll just do a slower dance. So let's see if that works. Let's look at Catherine's code while it's running. So there we go. She's dancing. After she hits 10 times, she broadcasted that she was done. And now the boy is dancing. If you noticed, if you're some of the kids in class, if they dance 10 times and the song is still playing, there is a potential for the boys' song to overlap with the girls' song. If that happens, I told the kids just to repeat your dance a few more times. So you want them to dance until the song is done. It's just kind of a timing issue. But essentially, that's what a broadcast does. It says something, and then whoever is listening to that event will do something when that happens, which brings me to our dinner table word of the week, which is an event listener. In programming, you often have a button or a field or something on your screen that is listening for something to happen. Like a button is a good example. The button is waiting for you to click on it. When you click on it, it does something. So we call that the button is listening for the click event. So in my example here with the dog, a dog is listening for a command. When he hears the command, when you say sit, he'll sit. And he won't do anything until he hears you say the command. So in programming, we call that an event listener. A thing is listening for an event, and it does something when that event occurs. So in our case, that's what the broadcast is doing. The broadcast says to everyone, I'm done dancing, and then someone else responds to that event. So that's essentially what an event listener is. The next thing that we covered was a thing called cloning. So I'm on my Catherine Dancer, and what I can do is I can clone her. I can have her create a clone of herself. When she creates a clone of herself, there's going to be two of her. The clone will not be like a stamp. It's actually a real kind of an in-memory sprite. You won't see a new sprite added down here, but on your screen you'll see another Catherine, and she'll have the ability to do things differently than the original Catherine. So what we did was we said create a clone of myself, and then we added some code to say when I start as a clone. One thing I want to point out is, you notice this one's like a round header, like a topper. This is the only other place in Scratch that you'll see a topper that's not under the events menu. So if you're having trouble finding it, it's under control. So now I'm going to say when I start as a clone, I'm going to have it do something. So let's have it move 50 steps so it's not on top of our other Catherine. And then I'm going to copy this code to duplicate it. I right-clicked, by the way, to get that duplicate choice. So now, and I'll take the broadcast out because I only want one sprite to do that. And now the clone is going to dance. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to have it switch to the next costume just so they're doing a different dance move. So if I run that, there we go. I could have moved them a little further apart from each other. But anyway, so that's how you clone a sprite. It's really useful if you wanted to, you're shooting at asteroids and you want, you have your bullet as a sprite, or if you have raindrops falling, snowflakes falling, you want to create one snowflake and then you want to clone it a bunch of times so that you have lots of snow falling from the sky. So those are some great kind of reasons why you would clone something. Whenever you clone a thing, a sprite, you want to make sure to move it. Otherwise, it's going to be right on top of the old sprite and you won't be able to see it. So you're typically going to want to move it somewhere else. If I were to make a bunch of snowflakes, I would repeat cloning myself, if I were a snowflake, 50 times. And then I would, when I start as a clone, pick a random position using the random operator for my X or Y coordinates. So they all fall in different spots. So essentially that's what cloning is, in case you ever need to use it. The last thing I want to show you is how to create your own block. This very last menu choice, I can create my own Scratch block. So I'm going to call this one Dance, and I'm going to hit OK. And now I have a new thing. Let's make a little more room here. I have a new area here where I can define what does it mean to dance. So I'm going to go ahead and, actually I'm just going to move this code. Oops, I started her dancing. So this is what it means to dance. You're going to repeat this many times. Next costume, wait. Right, so that's what the dance move is. Now I can just take my new little block here and put it here, and it replaces what it was doing before. So the one reason why I would do that, the main reason, I'm going to drag this off because I don't, well, I'll leave it here for a minute so you can see the difference. I put dance and then broadcast. So I replaced dance with this because I defined it over here. So if I drag this off now, this makes your code very readable, and it's a really great way if you have a bunch of things doing the same thing to only write it once. And then if I say, oh, you know what, I want her to dance 16 times, you only change it in one place. You don't have to change it in 2 different places or several places. So block is very useful in real computer programming. If you get a job in computer programming, you do this all the time. You would never write code and duplicate it all over the place. And I told the kids in class that a programmer calls that spaghetti code, when you've copied the same code over and over and over. And it's like a big pile of spaghetti. You can't find anything. You have to change it in 10 different places, and it's very hard to follow and very prone to errors. So reusable code is a really common theme if you do computer programming for a living. So in any case, I'll prove to you that this works. There we go. Our Catherines are dancing. And when they're done, our boy starts dancing. So essentially that really covers just about every single menu choice that is in Scratch. And even if you don't ever need to use a block or a clone, as you're exploring the projects of other students, you'll definitely see this, and now you'll know what that means. So it's important to be able to read everyone's code, and now when you come across it, you'll be familiar with it. The last thing I want to point out is on the Scratch Club webpage on the lz95.org website. I assume you already found the website if you are watching my video, but if you didn't, search Kim Ross. Click on Scratch Club and you'll be here. So in the upper right corner, I added 2 kind of libraries of what we'll do for our final project. The kids are going to get to choose from either doing a virtual pet or a car game. So if I go to the virtual pets library, these are just some projects that I selected that I thought might inspire the students to come up with an idea for doing a virtual pet project. So I encourage the kids to look at these projects, run them, and get some ideas of what you might like. And for the car game as well, sample car games. So if you choose to do a car game, I told the kids you can either do some kind of a racing game, like a Mario Kart type of game, or something with some other kind of car motion, like a Frogger or a Crossy Road kind of game, where someone's trying to cross lanes of traffic and get across. Just some game that shows some kind of a motion in it. Changing X and Y coordinates, gliding across the screen, handling a collision event between 2 things would be a goal for this kind of a project. So I encourage the kids to look at these projects, get some ideas. You can always see inside their code and see how they did something, but don't be intimidated if you see some code and it's really long and it looks complicated. Just play the games, get some ideas, and then I encourage the kids to think about what they want to do, and then in our next Scratch Club meeting, we will start working on our independent projects, our final project, and hopefully some of these ideas will come in handy. So that was it for week 5. I hope you enjoyed it.